Boss Mike had just come to check the warehouse, but when worker Jake took off his shirt, Mike's heart stopped. On his back were very specific scars, not from a knife, not from a bullet. Marks left by parachute cords and high-altitude effects, and Mike recognized them because he was also a former Navy SEAL. Could this ordinary worker really be the legendary paratrooper, Sky Johnson? Today I'll share with you the story of a legend hiding in a freight warehouse and the former soldier who recognized him. Before the video begins, please let me know in the comments which city you're watching from, and if you believe stories like this need to be told, please subscribe. Denver Freight Solutions was a large cargo and logistics company outside Colorado. Hundreds of trucks daily, thousands of packages, and numerous workers. The warehouse was wide with high ceilings where forklifts and trucks were constantly in motion. And in that warehouse, the same man had been working for 8 years. Jake Mitchell was 45 years old, medium height, strongly built with a calm expression. He lifted heavy packages, loaded trucks, and never complained. Workers called him Jake, sometimes Mr. Mitchell. Reliable, quiet, a man who did his job perfectly. He had never married and lived in a small trailer he had set up outside town. Nobody knew much about his past. It was only known that he had started work 8 years ago, had clean references, and was trustworthy. Mike Stevens was 52 years old, the owner of Denver Freight Solutions. He was also a former soldier, a Navy SEAL. After 20 years in the military, he had retired and started this business. A tough but fair boss. He respected his workers and treated them well. That July day, the temperature in Denver had reached 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The warehouse air conditioning had broken down, and everyone was drenched in sweat. Mike had come to check the warehouse. He wanted to see how the workers were doing and give them water and rest breaks. Jake was trying to lift a heavy cargo crate. He was soaked in sweat, breathing heavily. Mike approached. "Jake, take a break," Mike said. "Don't strain yourself too much in this heat." Jake nodded. "Thanks, boss. Just let me place this last crate." "No, rest now. You might get heat stroke." Jake stopped. It really was very hot. His shirt was soaked with sweat. "You're right," he said. "Let me catch my breath." Jake took off his shirt. It was very hot and he wanted to cool down. He hung his shirt on his shoulder and took a deep breath. At that moment, Mike saw his back, and his heart stopped. On his back were very specific scars. Irregular, deep, but very familiar. Mike had seen these before. They weren't knife cuts, weren't bullet wounds. They were marks left by parachute cords and high-altitude effects. Halo, high-altitude low opening, jump scars, the kind seen on paratroopers who jumped from very high altitudes and had very special training. "Jake," Mike said, a slight tremor in his voice, "where are those scars from?" Jake immediately put his shirt back on. Old accident, motorcycle accident. But Mike wasn't convinced. A motorcycle accident wouldn't leave those kinds of scars. These were from parachute cord injuries and high-altitude pressure effects. "What accident?" Mike asked. "Long time ago. Youthful stupidity." Mike didn't ask more questions, but he couldn't get it out of his mind. Those scars were very familiar. And Jake's body build, posture, way of moving, just like Special Forces. That evening, Mike thought about Jake at home. He didn't know anything about his past, only that he had started work 8 years ago, worked well, and was reliable. But was there more? Mike used his old military connections to research. He searched military records for Jake Mitchell. Many results came up, but none seemed to match Jake at the warehouse. Then he tried a different approach. Halo jump, Special Forces, paratrooper, and he found something very surprising. A photo from an old military file. Staff Sergeant Jake Sky Johnson, Navy SEAL Team 6, Best Halo Jump Specialist. In the photo, a young, strong, confident paratrooper. Mike looked at the photo. Could that young paratrooper be Jake at the warehouse? The facial features were familiar. Very familiar. Mike read the file. Staff Sergeant Jake Johnson served in Navy SEAL Team 6 for 15 years, over 200 Halo jumps, over 50 covert operations, especially specialized in high-altitude operations. And then Mike read something very surprising. In 2015, during a covert operation in Afghanistan, Sergeant Johnson and his team came under enemy fire. Johnson changed the operation plan to save his wounded teammates. The operation was successful, but Johnson was severely injured. Afterward, he took medical retirement and disappeared from records. Mike's breath caught. Was Jake Johnson, the legendary Sky Johnson, the Navy SEAL's best halo jump specialist? The next day, Mike observed Jake more carefully. The old man's posture, walk, way of checking his surroundings. Yes, he was military, a very experienced soldier. During lunch break, Mike approached Jake. "Jake," he said, "can I talk to you?" "Sure, boss. Is there a problem?" "No, just, I was curious about those scars I saw yesterday." Jake's expression changed. "I told you, motorcycle accident." "Jake, I'm also a former soldier, Navy SEAL, and those scars are halo jump scars." Jake froze. He didn't say anything. Are you Sky Johnson?" Jake remained silent for a long time. Then he took a deep breath. "I haven't heard that name in a long time." "So you are him, the legendary Sky Johnson." Jake looked around. Nobody else was there. "Boss, let's not have this conversation here. Where should we talk?" "Tonight, in your office, after everyone's gone." Mike nodded. "Okay, at 7 o'clock. That evening, Mike waited for Jake in his office. Jake came, closed the door, and sat down. "Hello, Sky," Mike said. Jake gave a bitter smile. "I haven't heard that call sign in a long time." "Why are you here, Jake? Why are you hiding?" Jake looked out the window. "Because Sky Johnson died in 2015. "That operation?" "Yes, that operation. In Afghanistan, Taliban operation. A very critical mission." Mike listened quietly. "We went in with halo jump from 30,000 feet, night operation, but the intel was wrong. We were trapped." "What happened?" "My team was hit. 3 men wounded, 1 man dead. The exfil plan collapsed. I had to carry 3 wounded men alone." Jake took a deep breath. "I walked 15 miles, carrying my wounded teammates on my back. The parachute cords had torn up my back, but I saved them." "You're a hero." "No, I just did my job, but the body took a lot of damage. Spinal injury, muscle damage. I was no longer operational." Mike could understand. "Medical retirement." "Yes, and from that day on, I stopped being Sky Johnson. Now I'm just Jake." "But why do you work here?" "Because I found peace here. Physical work, simple life, uncomplicated jobs. After war, this is very valuable." Mike could understand Jake's pain. Many veterans felt this way. "Don't you ever miss it? Jumping, operations, the team?" Jake's eyes filled with tears. "Every day, but I can't anymore. My body isn't ready." "But you still have experience. Your knowledge is very valuable." "Not to me. The past should stay in the past." Mike could understand Jake's desire to hide his past, but it was very sad. "Jake, I want you to know, you're my hero. You always will be." "Thank you, Mike. That's very valuable." After that, Mike's view of Jake completely changed. He was no longer just a freight worker. He was a legendary war hero. Mike began talking to Jake more. The old man knew a lot about military operations. Mike learned a lot from him. "What's the most difficult part of halo jump?" Mike asked one day. "Landing, especially in windy weather. You have to be very careful." "How do you make a perfect landing?" "Experience. A lot of experience and a lot of patience." Mike found this advice very valuable. Jake wasn't just a former paratrooper, he was still very experienced. One day, Mike made a different offer to Jake. "Jake, if you want, you can give basic security training to new workers." "How?" "Logistics security, risk assessment, dangerous situations. Your experience is very valuable." Jake thought, "I won't mention my military background." "You don't need to, just general security training." Jake agreed, and he was very successful. New workers learned a lot from him. "Jake gives very good training," said young worker Tom. "He can foresee dangerous situations." "Very experienced," added another worker. "It's like he's been doing this for years." Mike saw Jake's happiness. Helping new workers was good for him. "Jake," Mike said, How does it feel to give training? Good. Helping people, making them safe, that's valuable. Just like before. Just in a different way. Jake smiled. Maybe you're right. Months passed. Jake continued working as a freight worker, but now he was also giving training as a security specialist. One day, Mike made a special offer to Jake. Jake, we're planning company expansion, new security department. Would you be department head? Jake was surprised. Are you serious? Very serious. Your experience is perfect for this job. Jake thought. But I want to keep my past hidden. We can hide your past. We'll just say civilian security experience. Jake agreed, and he was very successful. The security department worked perfectly under his leadership. One day, the company had a special visit. An Army Rangers unit wanted information about logistics operations. Mike introduced Jake. This is Jake Mitchell, our security department head. He can help you. The Rangers officer began talking to Jake, but Jake's knowledge was very deep, very specific. Do you have a military background? The officer asked. Jake hesitated. I have some experience. Which unit? Jake looked at Mike. Mike nodded. Navy SEAL, Jake said. Long time ago. The officer's eyes widened. Which team? Team 6, Halo Jump Specialist. Wow, you're a legend, Jake smiled. Old days. From that day on, Jake's secrecy was somewhat lifted. His military background was known, but details were kept secret, and this was very good for him. Jake, Mike said, how does it feel to share your past? Good. I don't have to hide it completely anymore. Did you ever regret it? Hiding? Jake thought. No, because I wasn't ready then. I'm ready now. Mike smiled. Maybe everything has its time. Definitely. One day, Jake told Mike something special. Mike, I want to thank you. For what? For finding me, for helping me make peace with my past. I should thank you. You're this company's most valuable employee. Jake smiled. Now I can face being Sky Johnson again. You're still Sky Johnson, just in a different way. Yes, Freight Sky Johnson. They both laughed. This story shows us that sometimes hiding is necessary for healing. Jake Sky Johnson, after completing his most difficult operation, had hidden himself to heal physically and mentally. But with the support of Mike, a boss who recognized him, he slowly learned to make peace with his past. And now, in a different way, he was serving again. Real heroes emerge not only on the battlefield, but in every area of life, like Jake. So have you ever known someone like this? Someone who hid their past but had actually done great things, then found themselves again? Tell us about them in the comments.